Hello and good evening. My name is Olivia French, possibly better known to you as the voice of Lizzy Bennet in the Pride and Prejudice podcast by Ballarat National Theatre, or as the narrator of the Pride and Prejudice podcast by Ballarat National Theatre.
Chapter 34. When they were gone, Elizabeth, as if intending to exasperate herself as much as possible against Mr. Darcy, chose for her employment the examination of all the letters which Jane had written to her since her being in Kent.
And I thought that this evening I would give you a little tour of my recording booth, or my walk-in robe, as it turns out. So I'll give you a tour of the setup and explain a couple of the things that I do and why I do them. So if anyone of you is familiar with doing a bit of recording, whether it's for music or for a podcast or anything like that, you'll know that one of the tricky things that you sort of need to overcome is blocking out external sounds. Now, as the narrator and as one of the main characters of Pride and Prejudice, Lizzy, I have to do a lot of recording. So it means that I have to do the initial records, I have to, do re-records for various reasons. I've even been called upon to, record extra sounds, which is lovely, which means that, a couple of times when I've had cups of tea, I've recorded that too. And in an effort to sort of cut back on extra background noises, I've got this little setup that just sort of works for me. So some things that can cause background noise are sort of the obvious things, like traffic that might be driving past your house, might be someone else making noise in the background, doing things, living their lives in their home. But it's also little things like the sound of particular machines making noise, like rumbling, whether it's a fridge, or in my case, I'm acutely aware that sometimes my computer, the noise of the fan, the microphone I'm using is quite good, so it can pick up on things like that. Other things that you might not expect to make a bit of noise, things like fluorescent lighting. Fortunately, I don't have to deal with that. This is sort of why I've got the setup that I do. I am by no means an expert, and there are a heap of options that you have when you're recording things like this. I know some of our cast members record in their cars because they're soundproofed pretty effectively, but I record in my walk-in robe. So this is just a little tour of my setup and how it works. So it's probably going to look a little strange, but just go with me here. Although I will show you super quickly another very important cast member who doesn't really get a feature in our show, but that you should probably all meet. Yuki, or you done laughing film, baby? Did I wake you up? Did I wake you up, Yuki? Good boy. He keeps me company most recording sessions, usually in here, so it's not making any background noise. What you'll often find, I sort of commandeer my partner's bedside table, and I'll have my computer set up here. I've got a pair of headphones that completely cover my ears, so it's not earbuds, it's proper headphones, so I can play back and listen to some of the sound files as I record them. I'm using Adobe Audition. I don't know whether you can see that there, beautiful. And this is the software that I use to record. It's really straightforward and it's great. Is my little setup. So give you a little tour. I've got to my collection of brooches, my many clothes, my shoes, and my mic. So this is the mic that I use probably most regularly. My dear friend Anna has loaned it to me. I'm very, very lucky. I've actually ordered one myself, so I will have my own one very soon. So yeah, this is a Blue Yeti USB mic. I really love it. It's nice and versatile. It's easy to use. And what you'll notice is there's the mic here. And here I have what's called a pop filter. So you may have heard of pop filters before. And if you haven't, basically they kind of act as like a little bit of a buffer between you and the sensitive microphone. Now, obviously, you can see up here that this is over this cover built into the microphone that sort of helps protect it. But what this does is it sort of just gives you an extra layer to sort of work with, in that there are certain sounds like P and T, and there's several, that when you speak them or you say them or you sing them into a microphone, sometimes it makes that pop sound. So what this filter does basically is helps reduce that. It sort of muffles those sharper, harsher pop sounds, and makes your recording sound cleaner, which is quite important given that Pride and Prejudice has quite a few pop words, I like to think of them. So this is my little setup. It's nothing too fancy. You'll notice I'm tucked into the corner over here with my dresses sort of using almost the fabric and the clothes hanging in the wardrobe. It almost is like a bit of a sound buffer, so that my dialogue or the narrating, the recording that I'm doing is really it's nice and clear, and it's the best possible quality that I can achieve in not a recording studio circumstance. So what I'll tend to do is I'll hit the play button out on the record button out on my laptop, and I will wander on in here, and I will close the sliding door behind me, and Liana, our director, and the person who is sound engineering our podcast, will often hear that in our recordings, the sound of the sliding door. And then I'll sit myself down here, and I'll get myself in position. So what I'll tend to do, I'm just going to tuck you over here for a second, is I'll position myself quite close to the microphone and the pop filter. So what that's going to do is that's going to make sure that my voice is nice and loud and nice and clear. Sometimes, depending on the lines and depending on the emotion or the charge behind them, whether even if they're a whisper, will dictate how close I sit to the microphone, and sometimes even different takes will require different things. But I try mostly to stay nice and consistent, so that the volume of my lines as they're recorded stays consistent. So yeah, I sit in here fairly often. I'll record whole chapters and things like that. And to be honest, those are long. I will sometimes make mistakes, and I'm sure there will be some videos online flubbing. It's been a collaborative process that I've been able to work with other actors and with the director Liana, and try a whole bunch of different things. It's very different to performing on stage. Performing on stage, you have set and props and costume and a whole bunch of other things to draw on, including a live audience and other actors. Whereas doing this in isolation, even though it's amazing and wonderful to be able to do theatre in isolation, it's meant trying a whole bunch of different things and new things and exciting and challenging things at the same time too. So it's been a big learning curve, but it's been really fun and really exciting. And I'm very much looking forward to you listening along and hearing the rest of the journey. You're probably quite familiar with Pride and Prejudice, but I think we keep coming back to it because it brings a lot of people a lot of joy for a lot of different reasons. And I think, especially at the moment, we all need a little bit of extra joy in our lives. So I hope you are enjoying it, and I can't wait to continue sharing the story with you. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you liked my little tour.